My name is Metamela, and you are watching the Holographic Heartscape. Today, I want to dive in a little deeper to the first level of what it means to live in the Heartscape. Now, I call this channel and my forum on Facebook the Holographic Heartscape because I wanted to find a way to truly help us understand what it means to live in the heart. What are the components of what makes that happen? And what is that about? Living in the heart is about empowering human consciousness to really embrace who they are and who they are evolving into. So I wanted to start with what it means to drop down into the heart space. This is something you'll hear me write about, talk about in my videos. So I wanted to be a little bit more detailed in what I actually mean by that. Now, our body and everything in this realm is nothing but a collection of frequencies, just like I spoke about in my last video. So everything in our reality is like an orchestra or symphony of vibration. And that is exactly how law of attraction operates, is it relies on this fact. So when we are dropping into the heart space, we are setting an intention. So that is the first part of what it means to live in the heart space, is setting an intention to do so. Now, the heart in the history of mankind symbolizes where the soul resides. In some tribal cultures, they believe that the soul resides in the stomach. And indeed, there is a strong connection between the heart and the stomach area, where the solar plexus and the sacral are. So my approach is that it's actually a connection between the two. But the heart itself is the most ancient part of our technology as mammals and as human beings. So it actually has this little tiny place towards the bottom of the heart that is almost like a really simple brain. That is why in the womb, your heart actually begins to beat even before anything else in the body begins to develop, before your brain develops. So it is actually a very intelligent ancient piece of technology. Now, the reason I choose to look at human beings as a form of technology is because it's actually, I believe, helpful in helping us to understand ourselves. A lot of times, humans get really confused about who or what they are because we are so different than any of the other animals or life forms on this planet. And a lot of people believe that is because we were made by God, so to speak, in His image. So that is, one answer to the story. There are many, many myths out there that kind of coalesce to help us understand more and more about who we are as humans. But as far as dropping into the heart space, I want to talk about more specifically what I mean by that. So the more I set this intention, the more I begin to actually feel what's going on in my heart and inside my body as a whole. Because I've been doing this for a little while now, I literally cultivate this feeling inside of me that's called my bliss. And for me, what that feels like is it feels like a glowing. It feels like this resonance, almost like light pouring out of my chest. and it's also connected with my stomach. I've noticed since I've been doing this practice that I've actually had a lot less digestion issues as well, because previously I had so many emotions knotted up in my guts that it was very difficult for me to figure out what I could and couldn't even eat because it was making me sick all the time. Since I've learned more about what it means to live from the heart, I feel more and more of the bliss frequency in my guts, rather than the stress, rather than the trauma, rather than the suffering that I saw in the planet around me. So, like I said in the last video, our bodies and our realities are literally like a vibrational garden. When we tend to this vibrational garden, it empowers us to be able to see any situation from a standpoint of gratitude. Even if that situation is involving something that we perceive that we do not like someone mistreating us, for example. Probably the most disempowering feeling that you have ever experienced in your life might have been a time when you were small and your parents had control over a situation where you felt powerless, that there was nothing you could do because they were bigger than you and they had charge over your life. And there was a conflict between their perspective of what they perceived was love or what was best for your well-being, and what you perceived what to be the best for your well-being or what felt like love to you at that time. Now, in that situation, a trauma may have occurred for you. So as you're beginning to live from the heart space, I want you to understand that it is very possible that the first thing you begin to feel when you begin to feel your heart could be pain. And that's okay. I want you to keep embracing that pain. Pain is not a bad thing. Pain is here because it's a communicator. It is a messenger in the body. It is here to tell you, hey, this is something that needs to be paid attention to. Heads up. So it wants to be witnessed. It wants to be unconditionally loved. It wants to have your unconditional presence and not to be told that I'll deal with you later. It wants to be said, hey, I'm valuable to you. Thank you for showing me something that I did not perceive nor did I understand about myself. The same goes for when we become sick, when we have an injury. A lot of times I've witnessed in the lives of my clients or my friends or myself, when an injury comes up, it's often expressing something that needs to be witnessed or needs to be paid attention to concerning our well-being. And by that I also mean our relationships with others, because those are also an extension of who we are and our well-being. The same goes for when someone is mistreating you or treating you in a way that you do not like. Now, what makes something wrong or right in how we treat each other? I'm going to give you a moment to think about that. Because a lot of us want to believe that there is objective wrong or right, that there are these codes that are just written on the human heart of what is wrong or right. That involves no murdering, no stealing, like the 10 Commandments and things like that. But what I want to challenge you to go into concerning what is right or wrong is how it actually feels to you. Now, what makes murdering wrong is not that it's these finite details of like, we're going to make these arguments of debates surrounding what is right or wrong or abortion or all of these little nuances of the exceptions that we make of when it's okay to kill during wars, when it's not okay to kill. Why can we eat animals? Or I've seen people get in arguments about vegetarianism versus eating plants and why that's right or wrong. What actually makes something right or wrong is how it feels to us. And yes, I will repeat that because I want you to hear it again. I want you to really process this. What makes something right or wrong is how it feels to us. That means that it is a relative distinction. It always has been. When we begin to make rules about what is right or wrong, these dualistic ideas of right and wrong, evil and good, what we are doing is we are actually giving away the power of our heart to relatively distinguish what feels aligned for us in that moment. What feels like trust? What feels like separation? What feels like contrast? What does not feel good? And why does it not feel good? These are very complex questions in any given moment. In this place where every single moment is a field of infinite fractals, infinite possibility for complex comprehension of anything. I could sit here and argue with you till I'm blue in the face about any code of ethics in this planet. But if I am not working from my intuition and from my heart, it will not feel like alignment. It'll feel like justifications I'm making to justify my actions. And even though I'm actually working from a mixed vibration meaning part of it feels like alignment, part of it feels like contrast. We do this all the time when we do make decisions like going to war, or when we justify why we want to eat what we're eating, or we operate from a place of should and shouldn'ts. I should do this. I should not do that. But I'm going to do this instead because I want this. I need this. I crave this. And then part of me is going to still feel bad about it because I believe in my subconscious that something else would actually be better for me, but I don't have the willpower or the strength to do that thing. Well, I want to offer a new perspective. What if every single thing that we did was perfect? Was already perfect. There's no should or shouldn'ts because everything simply is. Everything that I do simply is. If I decide to drink a cup of coffee, it simply is. How that cup of coffee ends up making me feel is just an experiment. It's just an experiment to help me align more and more to my alignment. When we feel contrast in ourselves or feel that we have made a mistake in something that we're doing, it is only there to inform us further and further into what we do prefer, which will help cultivate our bliss. What if we were to make a commitment to ourselves that no matter what, in a situation, even if it's confusing, that we will not hold our bliss hostage or based on conditions. So, for example, if I do something that I feel like a mixed signal about, like I eat this, or I said this to someone that I didn't feel good about later, you know, how about trusting that this is just play? It's all just here to help inform us. Back in times in the beginning of the planet, when we are going back and looking on that, a lot of people, I see a lot of YouTube videos, in fact, about the Nephilim, about the fallen ones, about the fall of humanity. And I want you to understand that that is from a finite perspective. It's a perception that we fell. It's a perception that we are in suffering here in this planet. So what my teachings are here to help you understand, that in order to change where we're at, the first step is to understand that the only thing we need to change is our perceptions. It's not about changing our actions. Our actions are simply an aspect of our perceptions. I want to challenge all of you to start daily in your practice something called love meditation. Now, what love meditation is about, it can be multiple things, but the primary essence of it is calming the self in order to receive source energy, to cultivate unconditional love. Unconditional love is love no matter what. It does not place conditions on love. I will only love you if. I will only be able to be near you if. It understands that boundaries that we need as learning tools in our life are simply for us. They're simply for our own learning. So, what I do with my love meditation is, on a daily basis, I bring myself to a stillness and a quiet place if possible. But it doesn't necessarily have to be. It's ideal, but having things around you bustling can sometimes even be more of a challenge to help keep you in that state of unconditional witnessing. So what I first do is I think about the things that feel like love frequency to me. What turns me on and gives me that feeling inside. For some of you, it might be as simple as thinking about a food that you like. And that's okay too. If that's what helps you turn on and think about your bliss point and to think about something that you like. I also, one of my friends always sends me bunnies. You might wonder why my wall is filled with bunny videos from Carla. It's because I get really excited when I see bunny rabbits. I think that they're the cutest thing ever, even though they sometimes eat their children. I think they're amazing little creatures that are so cute, and the way that they cuddle with each other is so adorable. So for you, and it might be your child, of course, but have it be something that no matter how you're feeling at that time, it can bring up those emotions for you to focus on. I'm not saying to use this at a time when an emotion is coming up, though, that is asking you to face it. It's not a retreat from being in the present. It is just a way to cultivate being in the present. So I want you to sit there and for the first 3 to 5 minutes, really think about cultivating that vibrational frequency in your heart space. Taking deep breaths in, letting it out, trying to not let any pinching feeling occur with taking in your breaths, but taking deep breaths, like can be out through your mouth or out through your nose, whatever feels good to you. I like to put my tongue behind my teeth at the top of my roof of my mouth because it helps me ground, because sometimes I have trouble grounding, and that's why I wear my hematite earrings. And then really let that just start swirling in your body, like just really glowing and emanating. For those of you who get really good at this, you will actually start feeling the auric field around you completely light up. And what's happening when you're doing that is it is like your whole body becomes like an antenna for the love frequency. You are actually helping raise the planet's vibration just by doing this. Just by being in your bliss point. Just by doing love meditation. Just by staying in the unified perspective of self. No matter what comes up, no matter who walks up to you on the street, no matter who says whatever to you, don't let them pull you into their field. Just have compassion for them and just see that that is where they are at. They are not treating you this way. They are treating themselves this way. They are treating you this way because they see you as an extension of themselves, like we all do. We are all extensions of one another. So you keep your power in the situation by choosing at that moment to perceive, to step back, acknowledge the emotion that's there, be like, ouch, that doesn't feel good to me, and then hold that power by choosing compassion for the other being and choosing that you have the option to either be in that situation with that person or to be up here, looking down at that situation from fourth, fifth dimension, and to choose compassion and just acceptance that that person is perfect where they're at right now in their journey. That is their karmic trajectory. That is how expansion works. And so there's nothing wrong with that. It also does not mean that you have to allow yourself to be treated this way. I choose to treat myself this way in the situation. And that's how we come back into the situation in third dimensional perspective, with a state of perceiving from unconditional forces. From this, I have learned a lot about being able to see from an unconditional lens. There are a lot of times in my past where I've had a terrible temper. Some of you who may be watching this who know me have perhaps even witnessed that part of myself in the past. And I don't regret any of those times, because they were all part of my learning. So I want all of you to be able to come to a place of acceptance and forgiveness for yourself, for every single little thing that you've done. To give yourself permission to be fully where you're at, unconditionally. So with the love meditation, once you're able to cultivate that feeling, you can actually start sending it places. You can actually test it too by thinking about something that you really don't like a murderer or someone who hurts children or any such thing that, you know, for you, or somebody who's cruel to animals, animal cruelty. I know that's a big one for a lot of you. And think about sending unconditional love and witnessing as if you were a light being witnessing this. not wishing to change it, just sending unconditional love to that. When you're able to do that, you will, I promise, find a whole new level of consciousness, a whole new level of empowerment as a human being. It will change your entire world if you allow it. The more of us who are choosing to live from this perspective, the more we will see our landscape change, and drastically, on this earth. It is a movement. It is a vibrational movement. It's just like how marketing is so powerful in this culture, and how Burger King and McDonald's are now in all of these countries, even though it started here in America. It's the same thing, only it's even more powerful because it's not giving people what they think they want to be happy. It's giving people what they truly, truly want, to step into their power, into their ability to co-create this plane. So with that, I wish you such a wonderful rest of your week. I love you all very much, and don't hesitate to write me with questions about what I'm talking about, where you're at in your journey. If you wish to join the Holographic Heartscape, just look that up on Facebook, and you'll find our private forum. And please introduce yourself and tell us where you're at in your journey. We would love to support you and send you unconditional love right where you are at.